Hello everyone, my name is Arca. Layra couldn't join us today, so on behalf of us, I will make the presentation. Actually, before starting, I would like to mention that this is a group work from Green Thought Association's members, Yeşil Düşünce Derneği. So we had a preliminary research about REScoops, which are renewable energy cooperatives. And we would like to share the preliminary work with you in this conference. So, 1 second. Yes, I will start with a brief introduction about energy transition and energy democracy. Energy transition is the shift from fossil fuel-based energy generation into renewables. And it is required to limit carbon dioxide emissions and keep global warming below 1.5 Celsius degree. However, sometimes this transition is hard, and various shareholders, including citizens, can resist this transform. And at this stage, green politics can be useful in terms of acceptance, and a participatory democracy, in that sense, aims to cover citizens' values and views in decision-making process. And in that sense, again, the energy democracy term prioritizes the energy production and consumption in the same location. It reconsiders the ownership of energy production and aims to reshape the decision-making process. Apologies. Yes, and however, there is no single definition for community-based energy initiatives. We can say that community energy, renewable energy cooperatives, community-owned electricity, or community renewable energy projects. The last one is kind of, how do you say, an upper definition, and it involves a group of citizens, social entrepreneurs, public authorities, and community organizations who participate directly in the energy transition by jointly investing in producing, selling, and distributing renewable energy. It has various subgroups in these projects. The first one is the renewable energy cooperatives and REScoops. REScoop EU is the apologies, sorry about that. REScoop EU is the European Federation for Renewable Energy Cooperatives, and it almost has 1,500 European energy cooperatives and over 1 million citizens. It was established in 2013, and some of renewable energy cooperatives are represented within. And others are community development trusts and community interest companies. There are mostly private limited companies without share capital. It depends on, these models generally depends on one country's legal definitions or organizational structures. For example, community development trusts, mostly seen in the UK. And also, for example, in France and Italy, where municipalities are highly autonomous, local governments may initiate the projects. Therefore, another subgroup, local government projects with citizen participation, are more like crowd-funded developments and normally initiated by municipalities. Public-private partnership and private companies are more like, they are mostly focused on optimizing and increasing the interests, the monetary interests, and other grassroots initiatives can be said as eco-villages or other off-grid communities. In renewable energy cooperatives, there are 7 principles they obey. Most of the time, they are being voluntary and open membership, democratic member control, members' economic participation, autonomy and independence, education, training and information, cooperation among cooperatives, and a concern for community. So there are some rewards, impacts, and challenges faced by these cooperatives or these initiatives. The first one are the economic rewards. The renewable energy cooperatives can sell electricity to the grid and therefore make a gain out of it. Also, they can invest in renewable energy for their self-consumption. There are some social impacts. And it creates a strong sense of community through involvement in the project and also faster decision-making processes. Collaboration of rural and urban inhabitants are increased in that sense. On the other hand, several cooperatives may face a widening local frictions due to political views. In terms of environmental impacts, the culture of conversion is increased. This is said that the conversion of energy and the energy is less more controlled used they obtain, and on the other hand they can reduce the NIMBY effect. NIMBY effect is also known as not in my backyard effect. So in cooperatives where they initiate and they invest in their own renewable energy resources and production, they tolerate some renewable energy investments in their area because they make a gain out of it. On the other hand, there are some general challenges they face. This is mostly about the creating the capital and making the investment. And if the community doesn't know each other very well, it may create a lack of confidence, which is another challenge an energy cooperative may face. In that sense, the scope of this project actually is to compare some renewable energy cooperatives in various countries and Mediterranean countries and show their importance in terms of energy democracy. Here you can see the state of electricity capacity and generation in Italy. There's we can say that there is a general trend over the years towards the energy transition and the decreasing in non-renewable energy productions. And even though the capacity is almost half renewable, the generation is not as high as that in Italy. And in terms of renewable energy cooperatives, where let's say where they are found in their places in the energy production, there are we classified two different ways the energy cooperatives in Italy. The first one is the in terms of foundation, the almost 20% of total renewable energy cooperatives are bottom up, which can be said that a grassroots movements, and the others are the top down, and which are mainly backed by municipalities, local governments. They found these cooperatives and seek for citizens to rejoin on that. As I said, larger projects, it is kind of a consequence. Larger projects are generally initiated by either municipality or companies in Italy. And the other grouping is in terms of institutional characteristics. Some are more market-based and some are more community-based. When I say market-based, actually I mean the main objective is to make a profit out of it. And the second, the community-based, is the main objective is to increase the community's well-being by using the energy cooperative. In that sense, actually, the energy cooperative system in Italy is very heterogeneous, and pinning down specific characteristics of the sector as a whole has not been really possible. Italy community energy sector still is at its niche level. It has been initially mainly characterized by development of rather small, for the majority, dedicated to photovoltaics. Legislations support Italian renewable energy communities and citizen energy communities. opening up a legal platform to become a prosumer. When I say prosumer, actually I mean the producer and consumer at the same time, because they consume their own electricity. While it is possible to create nationwide communities may benefit from economies of scale, local communities have the chance to create less complex structure. And in Italy, electricity selling system of these cooperatives is based on the green certificates. In Spain, we can say that actually, again, the capacity of renewables are almost a half, and wind is the main driver of this energy production, even though Spain has one of the highest solar production possibility in Europe. And in terms of cooperatives in Spain, there are some almost 12 cooperatives as of 2016. However, number of energy cooperatives are at starting phase. Half of them are a member of the REScoops EU, as I mentioned previous slides before. And the largest member is one of the largest in Europe, actually. The main driver for appearance of these cooperatives is the dissatisfaction of company-dominated energy system, which is referred in Spain as the Cinco Grandes. 5 big companies they dominate the whole electricity system. The electricity selling is based on green certificates, as in Italy. However, there is a main barrier in Spain, which is derives from the regulatory nature of electricity market in the country. There are a few other reasons for underdevelopment in Spain. Traditionally requirement of high capital investments in energy sector in Spain, the absence of local electric distribution culture, mostly carried out by private capitals, as I mentioned, the 5 big companies. And the last one is the domination of grey capital in renewable energy investments. Grey capital actually means that the fossil fuel companies which are also invested in renewable energies. And lastly, the France. We can say that the renewable share is really low, but the main driver of the electricity capacity in France is the nuclear power. Almost half of the electricity comes from nuclear, and it creates a very centralized energy system. In France, there are almost 250 communities in renewable energy projects, and their main objects are the contribution to energy transition and energy democracy. There are 4 types of energy cooperatives in France. I would like to mention 2 of them actually here. The first one is the Type 1. Type 1 projects strongly emphasize using local resources and competencies, and those involved in them are motivated primarily by the energy transition and participated democracy, because profitability under these structures is really low. Because the Type 1 can be an individual rooftop or small local initiative. And the Type 2 is mentioned as the never too big for citizens type projects. They focus on mostly wind projects to strengthen local economies and local identities. And again, the main driver is to include the communities in decision-making processes.
Yılmaz hocam, son 3 dakika, pardon.
Okay, I'm like wrapping up. In France, there are a few barriers. There are institutional market and institutional barriers, market barriers, organizational and behavioral. Maybe it is worth to mention the market barriers. The main barrier is the grid connection. Because the system is very centralized, it is hard to integrate the energy cooperatives in this centralized system, because energy democracy requires a more localized, decentralized system. To wrap up and to conclude, it is hard to find one fits for all type of model in community power in these countries. we can say that energy democracy demand is rising because of when we see the numbers, and as a response, it is rising as a response to various crises since 70s. Especially in Italy and France, the numbers are rising, relying on new regulations, which enables flourishing new cooperatives establishment. And lastly, maybe we can say that these systems are highly dependent on regulation systems and feed-in tariffs. On the other hand, community power has a potential to ensure energy transition, as you can say. This is a preliminary work, so we can widen the research and deeply investigate some of the points that we were missing. Here are some references, and I would like to acknowledge my collaborators, the Yeşil Düşünce Derneği, and the group members that we have been worked on together on this topic. Thank you.